for your patience. We apologize. Definitely was a little bit of a scheduling snafu, but we do appreciate it because there was a lot of people who are very interested in you and who you are. So we have Jason joining us again today here. He is one of the most interesting people at Jack Daniels that I've ever sat there and had the privilege of being able to see, speak, and chat with before. So this is going to be a unique perspective on leadership, discipline, and the craft of an American iconic brand. For over 14 years, Jason has been the staple of the legendary Jack Daniels Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee, where he's currently serving as the warehouse foreman lead. Before that, he spent 5 years as a military police officer in the U.S. Army, including time at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He also holds a bachelor's degree in management and human resources. Jason is really, quite frankly, an interesting person. So I do want to sit there and say thank you very much for your time today, sir. I do greatly appreciate it. So we've had a lot of logistics and a lot of supply chain people on this week. We've had a couple of different people who have that perspective. First and foremost, you being the warehouse foreman for Jack Daniels, how much chaos is in your life on a daily basis? You're on mute, Jason. Sorry. Still on mute. I think it's actually your app on your phone that you have to give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to try to force it. Give me 10 seconds here. I'm going to work with some technology. This might be a problem.
There we go.
There we go.
Touchdown. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good, man. You know, again, you're wrapping out Army Day today here at Seven Eagles. So walk us through a day in the life of you being the warehouse foreman, because I find it very interesting. Obviously I do enjoy the product, but what does your day to day look like per se, and how did the military get you set up for this position?
Well, my day to day, my job consists of the safety and control of usually 12 to 15 people, equipment, and the small part of the logistical side of what barrels I'm going to put in a warehouse and what barrels I may take out depending on what I'm doing that day. And the Army will prepare you because you have to communicate constantly. When I'm doing my job every day, not only am I communicating with my crew about what we got to do, where we're going to put these barrels up at, what house we're going, which warehouse we're going to go put them up in, so on and so forth. I've got to communicate with my bosses. They're letting me know what they're wanting me to do that day, and anybody I've got to work with. When we're putting up new barrels, we have a place called the filler room where they're filling the barrels full of whiskey. Then the truck drivers will bring them to us. I've got to communicate with them throughout the day how my day is progressing, so they know how many barrels to fill up each day. And because the way whiskey works, if you put barrel in that whiskey that day, that's when the aging starts. So they don't want to fill up too many barrels, and then I'm not able to put them up in the warehouse. So that's just basically a dead whiskey. And when I'm taking it out, I've got to talk to we call it's got an official name called the BYO, but we call it the dump room, where it starts the first part of the bottling process to go in the whiskey go in the bottle. Same thing. I've got to communicate to them. They may not have enough tank space to holding tank space for me to get so much out, or they may need me to fill it up, and so I really got to get the crew in high gear to get them to get enough whiskey out of the warehouse so it fills up that tank, so we don't have dead space in our tanks.
How big is the warehouse? I've never been out there. I do plan on making the pilgrimage one day, but it's a pretty good sized facility, is what people have told me.
Yes, we have 98 warehouses, and the older warehouses will hold about 15,000 barrels of whiskey, and some of our newer warehouses hold roughly about 68,000 barrels of whiskey.
We had a paratrooper on earlier, and we were having a side conversation. And he goes, "Oh, that's a Tuesday," because he was really interested that you were coming on. Yeah, a skill bridge field trip is what everyone is saying right now.
Yeah.
Um, take that. Talking about your transition from being an MP to going into Jack Daniels. What is like the most important lesson that you learned coming out of the military to Jack? And then what was the most important leadership lesson that you learned in the Army that you use daily now?
Well, the most important lesson coming out is let me think about that for a second. Uh, there's accountability that at every level here, you have to be accountable for your own actions, what you do, and the higher you go up in a company, like with any other thing, the more accountability, the more responsibility, and accountability you have. But that is a big lesson because no matter what branch you are or we're in or are in currently, and what your job is, you're accountable for equipment, other people, your actual job. You're accountable to do your job correctly. And when I got here, came out from the military into the civilian world, you realize real quick that a lot of people don't. They were never really held accountable for anything, and the people that were military beforehand that kind of started around the same time I did, all of us had this accountability that we were almost ingrained into us, and we were some of the first ones to get hired because we started a temporary service. We were the first ones to get hired because we had that accountability that most people didn't have. As far as the leadership role that I was able to work into, basically the ability to work with most anyone because there is a diverse group of people that you work with in the military of every background, everything. Uh, and when you come here, we're pretty. It's on the surface we're kind of all the same, but you start working in different backgrounds. Some people came here with more money growing up. Some with they were dirt poor, good childhoods, bad childhoods. Some people had moved in from out of state, and this was their dream to work at Jack Daniels. So I learned through leadership how to deal and work with people, and to read how their day is going. Because if somebody's having a hard day, you don't let them slack on doing their job. You just may not. You just kind of pull them the side, put your arm around them, and say, "Hey, is everything all right?" And you take care of that person that day. You learn how to read and deal and work with people.
And accountability is key. And a little bit of a side note, I was taking a look at your LinkedIn profile. You actually were holding me accountable because you and I were at Campbell at the exact same time. So, it was, it was like MP. Oh boy, like when I was there as a young E6 at group, just every single time we'd run into an MP, it'd just be like, oh boy, here we go. And then all the rack guys would sit there and go, just anyone with rack, those guys I just stayed away from. Like, you're crazy. I'm staying away from
Yeah,
you. But holding people accountable, 100%. Holding the 101st accountable, always interesting. Us, not so much because we kind of did our own thing. But
yeah,
let's talk about discipline and flexibility real quickly. Adherence to protocol is key, and there's a lot of protocols at Jack Daniels, but there's also the tradition, and then there's the need to innovate. How have you adapted the concept of discipline from the military context to that environment that you're in right now, especially with the fact that it's a very unique county that you're in, where Jack's at, because it is a dry county.
yeah. That is one of the weird things. We're one of the most famous uh, alcohol brands in the world, and it is a dry county. I grew up here, so I'm kind of used to it. But the discipline aspect, the question you asked on it, and a lot of times it can be boiled down to something small. In the military, no matter what you did, if something started at 6 o'clock, well, by the time your leadership brought it down to you, you'd be there at 5:30. You would not believe people who cannot show up on time. The one thing that you can control is with your work life is showing up on time and being in the right spot with all the right equipment that you're going to need. That discipline, I still show up 30 minutes early to work every day. I need gloves to roll these barrels. If you don't, they'll tear your hands up. I make sure I have my gloves. I make sure I have my work boots are in serviceable conditions. Also, doing the right thing. If there's been times before I became a lead, I was a truck driver, and again, simple things is what seems to get people a lot of times. Shutting your door when you're fixing to have to drive down the highway with a load of whiskey. A lot of people didn't want to shut the door. I didn't make sense because the barrel could fly out the back. Put a lock on it so it has a lot less chance of come flying open. The discipline to do those small things, because everybody will do the big things because those are seen by everyone. But it's the small things that started making the difference for me and other people who have been able to progress within this company.
Love it. Love it. 100%. I want to talk about the brand for a second, and I really want to get your perspective on this. And this question, I've been dying to ask somebody inside the organization. It is the iconic brand. It's global. It's got an immense of history. After 14 years at Jack, what is the one aspect of distilling or the warehouse process the public might not realize it's crucial for the final product to actually get it on the shelf?
The one part, we're all interlocked. We all have to work together in warehousing because you're going to be biased to your position. We feel like we're the linchpin of the whole thing because we have different shutdown periods where our still was shut down for maintenance. Well, we still got to take whiskey out of the warehouse to go to bottling. And bottling has a couple of weeks shutdown periods where they got to do maintenance on all their machines. We still have to put whiskey up. So 4 years from now, there's whiskey to be taken out of the warehouse. The one part, or maybe you call it advertising, whatever, that's crucial that most people don't realize is that we are what I like to call the world's largest craft whiskey, where a lot of the craft whiskeys you buy was made by someone else. The barrels were made by someone else. Only thing, they just slapped the label on it. The crucial part is that makes Jack Daniels, we do everything in-house. We have the same yeast that Jack Daniels had that Nearest Green taught him to make whiskey with 150 years ago. Is still the same strain of yeast. And we have our own water source. That is the crucial part that makes the difference between us and getting it on the shelf that we're the most proud of.
It's interesting because when you popped up, I jumped up, not to sit there and say that I haven't overly enjoyed the product, but there's a lot of small nuanced things. So I live in Denver, and we have a lot of like Stranahan's is out here, and there's a lot of mom and pop places as well. But then there's you, the 400-pound gorilla in the entire industry that everyone sits there and tries to replicate. There's so many different small things, and it's all the fact that it's all right there in the cradle of what Kentucky really, besides rifles and things like that, really what it's known for is Jack Daniels, and really kind of being the backbone of what we are as Americans. So what gets you up in the morning? It's 3 a.m. You got a long production day. Like, what's that motivator? Is it the brand? Is it the job itself? Is it the people? Like, what is that motivator to get you out of bed and smile and say, you know what, I work for a really cool company?
Well, you could go with a funny answer, say it's a paycheck, but the what gets me coming into work and kind of with a smile on my face, especially on certain days because we change crews. For the most part, I work with a great bunch of people. From the guys I'm literally pushing barrels with, moving barrels around the warehouse. My bosses are pretty good people. Everybody that I work with, it's a Jack Daniels is kind of a small hometown within inside of a city itself, or a small town itself. So everybody takes care of everybody, and getting up, knowing that I'm going to get to work with a bunch of good people, and then this little product that I've taken for granted my entire life because I grew up in Lynchburg. I'm so inundated with it that when I go to a friend's house in New Jersey and they find out I'm from Jack Daniels and they want to know every little bit about it, and that sense of I'm serious, they want to know from the beginning process to where we get our corn till the time it hits their store shelf, that it's almost like they feel now they're a little bit more educated about it. And I know whatever you want to call that, when I go into a place and I tell somebody I'm from Jack Daniels that I work there, they're so inquisitive and they're so, I guess, impressed. No one around here is impressed with me, that that they want to know about Jack Daniels. They think I'm doing something special, and then I step back and I look at it as, hey, I'm making a product. I'm helping to make a product every day that people throughout the world are able to consume and they enjoy, and they use it for celebrations and for when they're sad and all that stuff. That's what gets me up and gets me coming into work every morning with a smile on my face.
That there you go. I thought it was going to be something like that, and yeah, you go outside of Lynchburg, and and you said it like, I'm from Jack Daniels. I work for Jack Daniels, and you just have this concave of people to sit there and say, you work at Jack Daniels. Oh my gosh, because a lot of people they know the brand, but they don't know how much it goes into it. Like I will once a year just drive up to Golden to Coors, and I'll go do the tour there, and just people are just dumbfounded just seeing how much goes into it just for Coors alone. And then they see all the other brands and they're like, this is just absolutely fascinating. Like I took my dad there a couple of years ago, and for an hour he was sitting there in the packaging plant just looking, just watching every single little thing. And you got to be a little bit more delicate with your product just because of the way how it gets bottled and everything. So it truly is fascinating to hear it from someone who's actually there. I do want to kind of talk about your professional education and your degree. Yeah, the key component to human resources is resolving conflict. What is your go-to strategy for mediating a disagreement or improving communication between your team and the different personalities that are on your crew?
Oh, one of the key thing is to listen to both sides. I mean, in our environment, what the environment I work in is very blue collar. So, and some people can get a little bit loud and a little bit rough talking. And when people within our crew, people have disagreements, a lot of times if you just get them to calm down and get one person to listen to what the other one is saying, then vice versa, the second person gets to say their opinion or their whatever they want to talk about, and the other person will listen. A lot of times that kind of squashes it right there. That they're a lot of times they're getting mad about the same things, but there just has a small, separate, different way of approaching the task, how to complete it. And once they listen to each other, like, oh, okay, you're saying the same thing, but there's a small caveat that you've added or have taken away from mine. We can try it both ways, and that usually is going to mediate it most of the times. The lack of listening within people, they get set in their ways, or they get an idea and they don't want to hear another idea, or they're not willing to listen to another idea fully.
There you go. 100%. I love it. I love it. Before I go forward with any more questions, I know that there's going to be a couple of people that have questions for you. So I do want to open it up to the floor. Who would like to ask Jason a question? This is a really interesting guy, folks. I really would. Monique, why did I have a feeling it was going to be you? Go ahead, Monique is one of my who always has a question, Jason. So
That's
I
fun.
knew that you, yeah. So Monique, go right ahead, girl.
It didn't seem like anybody else had a question. So I had a question. So Chris Fletcher. So I cheated. I looked at the website and I saw there's only been 8 master distillers with Jack Daniels, and Chris Fletcher is the newest one. The average distiller has been in a role for at least like the average like 20 years. And so and then I Google what's the difference between master distiller and a sommelier, which those are the people that they like take samples.
Yeah. I'm an official whiskey taster.
You are?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a finished product taster.
How does one how does one become a official whiskey taster?
Well, first you got to volunteer for it, and then they send us to a class that we have some people here who have been through the advanced style classes, and basically then we taste different whiskeys from whether it be Jack Daniels or another brand, and then if it's especially Jack Daniels, because that's what we're finished tasting to see if we find any impurities, they will add controlled impurities into our the whiskeys, and we got to see which ones. We may not be able to test and taste and say, okay, they have added too much water to this or whatever, but they want to know. They'll give us 3 samples, and 2 of them will be one thing, and another one will be a third one, and you got to pick out which one is different.
Wow.
And if you can't do that at least 85% of the time, you're no longer allowed to be an official whiskey taster.
Interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
I love it. Jose, go ahead, sir. What do you got?
Well, hey, Jason, thanks for your time today.
No worries.
And also, since you're a whiskey taster, I just got this guy. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a Jack Daniel's Sinatra.
Oh, very good.
In my
Hold on,
retirement.
I'm gonna hold on. Give me a second here, Jose. I'm gonna spotlight you. Give me 10 seconds here.
I think my video is blurred, but
Oh, there you go. Yep. Go ahead. Show it again.
oh, there you go. Can you see it?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, it's
I
blurry.
see
But...
that. I saw it for a second.
There you go.
Yeah. Is that the Century or the regular Sinatra?
I don't know. Sinatra Select is all I got.
Yeah, that was the first run of the Sinatra. Yes, sir.
So what's your take on that one?
I enjoy the Sinatra. They went through some extra process. It was aged a little bit longer. Is one reason why it costs a little bit more, and it was done in limited runs. We make some products. I'll be honest with you. The Tennessee Fire, you're not gonna see me drinking it, but the Sinatra, if I get a chance, I may sip on that because that is it aged extra time, which is going to add some smoothness. They double filtered the charcoal once before aging and once after, and they added a few, and they put it at a little bit higher proof to get more of the oak and the more of the smoke flavor, and you should get a little bit of caramel on it as well.
Appreciate it.
Roy, before I go to you, there actually was a question from one of the peers here at Seven Eagle. Chris asked, how do you get alcohol in a dry county? And I guess you might need to explain that a little bit, Jason, as well. What is and why is it a dry county?
Real quick, it wasn't a question. I was just saying being a taste tester is like he's explaining how to get alcohol in a dry county. It was just a joke.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. I apologize. I thought it was a question. Roy, go ahead, sir.
All right, Jason, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate you coming out.
No worries.
I don't really have a question, man. I just really wanted to give you some kudos for being authentic. You know, I could tell you're being yourself. Like, you're just genuinely here to try to give us advice. I mean, you're in your car. A lot of people are coming there to talk to us in their office, and so I could just tell like you're being super authentic with this and giving us the real Jason, and not putting on this show of like I'm in the office or I move barrels all day and all this other stuff. So I appreciate it, man, and you know, it comes off as authentic. So I just want to give you kudos and tell you I appreciate it.
Well, I think I appreciate it. I literally I clocked out of work, I let my phone charge for a few minutes, and came out here and got my car because when I leave here, I'm going to the gym to try to work out.
What, lifting the barrels all day long is not a workout enough for you, sir?
Well, I mean, you know, trying to make my wife find me sexy. I hadn't done it yet, but one day I'll get her to find me sexy.
I love it. All right. So my final question, or the final toast in all of this, if you could offer one piece of advice to anyone here who's just, you know, trying to get their foot in their door in the civilian career in manufacturing or transitioning out of the military overall, what's the single most valuable insight you'd give them?
To me, and everybody's gonna have their own opinion, is when before you start filling out resumes and going to interviews, step back and think about what you've done. People in the military, no matter what your MOS was or your job was, whether you were E1 to O10, we are, using the military term, we are force multipliers. Just from the very nature of our lifestyle we had for 2, 4, 20 years, you know, the basic stuff that even that wasn't towards our job. We all had to learn about security. We all had leadership, whether we had, you know, following leadership, and we all got put into leadership roles. We all had communications training. There's a plethora of stuff that a lot of times that when I first got out and I was trying to transition, I didn't think about, and I had somebody say, "Hey, think about this. All the things you've done that you took for granted for those years that you were in the military. Those are the things that companies are looking for. One person who is able to do several things well instead of just one thing. And the things like communication, we all had to go through some sort of communication training. We all have that interpersonal communication skills that we all had to use every day. Our ability that we're able, I know that's not quite under, but our ability to stay calm and cool under high tense situations where I've seen people before, they're getting in trouble, getting yelled at, and they freak out, or something scary goes on, they freak out. Well, the military people are like, okay, if you freak out, it's just making it worse. Let's keep calm. You know, you put that down. I have that discipline to stay calm. You word it civilian wise. So I found also if you put everything in military jargon, they get confused and don't know what to think about it. But military individuals are force multipliers.
Love it, love it, love it. There we go. And that is time for today. Jason, I had an absolute blast chatting with you. You're the first person from Jack I've actually had the privilege of speaking to. One day I do plan on making my way out there. And when I do get out there, that one day I'll let you know so that maybe we can shake hands and sit there and actually see someone who is truly producing and a part of this amazing American icon. So let's give Jason a round of applause. And again, thank you very much. And yes, again, everyone,